how's it going, everyone? Jonathan with Mountain Post Woodworks, and I've been needing to make this video for a while now. I've owed you guys a review. I unfortunately been a little bit busy, and so today I will go ahead and get this done for you guys, okay? And we're going to review the Kreg ACS project table along with the track and the plunge saw. All right, so we'll just get right into it and give you all my likes and dislikes on the Kreg ACS table, including the plunge saw, okay? And then I also will mention if this is the table for you or not. I've had it for a year, so I should be able to give you an honest review on the table. So with the Kreg ACS table, it does come with a couple items, right? Now the project table does come separately from the track and the track saw. I see now that you're able to buy this as a bundle, okay? Now I will mention that it does come with 4 dogs, and then it's 2 larger dogs for calibration and 2 smaller dogs. Now you can use this interchangeably as far as when you're setting up projects. It will also come with a backer for your smaller pieces, and they will attach to your repetitive guides here, okay? Then you have your angle guide here, will allow you to do repetitive angle cuts, and this will range from 0 to 60 degrees. And then just slide, and they will slide in through the extrusions here, okay guys? Now, one thing I do want to mention, and that will be one of the dislikes I have with the project table. I'll go ahead and spin this around for you guys. As I mentioned in my last video, I don't know if you guys caught that. When I was actually setting the table up and putting things together, one of the first pieces I messed up on was the retainer clips here. And these retainers hold the top legs where the handles are at, okay? Now, the second day I had the table, I went to press these over and they clip on here, right? And then taking them off twice, they broke. So they're cheaply made. And so one thing, that's one thing you guys will have to see on your manual, that it will show you a partner so you can get them replaced. I keep my table down, so I have no issue of they broke or not. Now moving the table does pose a problem in the sense that when you grab the handles, and I will show you here guys, they will move on you, so you'll have to tape it down or find something like a zip tie to hold them over. That way, when you're moving it across a project site or moving to a job site or somewhere else you need to move to make cuts, then it won't be a big deal. You just cut them and just take it with you. I can change it, I choose not to. My table keeps at the down position, so I have no problems with that. Now, it does have handles here. They are a little bit flimsy. I'm not a big fan of them. They do the job. That's all that really matters. There are some locking pins in the legs when you open the table. Now go ahead and slide over. I'll show you. This one locked, right? You'll have to press these and then they'll come back up and then you can bring it down. The only one I have a problem with is the bottom one. They are kind of janky and they move. And so that leg, I'll have to finagle with it in order to set it right back up. And like I said, I keep my table down, so it's not a big deal for me, guys. Okay, so we'll get right into what the table will cost, what you can do with it, how to also set up the track. As I had a person in my comments mention that I did not touch on setting up the track and the track saw, because I purchased my track and track saw prior to the table, and so I set it up prior to that. But hence, when you buy it brand new as a bundle, then you can actually set it up together, right? So we'll go over that here shortly and make sure that you guys are setting up your tracks correctly. Okay, guys? All right, guys. So as I said, the project table will come with a few pieces. If you buy the bundle with the track saw here. Now, when you set the table up, guys, you'll want to go ahead and release the legs so that they're out of the way. Track saw won't hit them. Now your table is consistent of dog holes. They're 20 millimeter dog holes that are CNC'd on a MDF top, and I believe it's 3/4 inch. Now you can make your own, which a lot of people do have, and I believe Kreg does have the plans that you can purchase so that you can actually CNC them, or you can buy a jig that will allow you to cut the 20 millimeter dog holes, right? So now, as I mentioned, your table comes with a backer that will go on your repetitive stops that you set in between the extrusions. It will come with your angle. And as I mentioned again, if you buy the track together and plunge saw together, then you have the track, the cord guide, the dogs. This locking piece, I'll bring you in a little later, guys. And you'll also have for ripping larger pieces, this stop here that will ride through your extrusions. And you can run 4x8 sheets as long as you're running also some sort of roller guides or outfeed tables in order to keep it steady. So as I mentioned, one of my comments touched on the table setup with the track and the track saw, okay? And so we'll go over that. Your track comes with an anti-chip guard, and then your track saw, and then your track comes with an anti-chip strip, right? So when you set the table up and you put the track on here with the knobs, and we'll go over that a little later, the chips, the anti-chip strip will be there. It'll be a little longer, about an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch longer, right? You'll set your depth. Manual states that you will set the table, the track saw on the track. Make sure you set the guides here, and so that there is no play in your tape and your track saw on the track. And then you'll set your speed. You'll put a 3/4 inch sheet of ply or anything that's 3/4, and you set your depth, right? Your depth is here on the guide, right? On top of the track. Now you'll set it to 1 inch because you have 3/4 inch material, correct? And you want to rip a 1/4 inch cut or kerf on your table. You'll also set some pieces to stabilize the track on top so that you don't have any play, or you can just get a long enough piece where you can run from the back here for where this repetitive stop is at, or I'm sorry, this dog is at, to this dog hole here. And I'll place another one just so that you guys can see it, right? And that's how you'll cut the anti-chip here at the bottom. So you want to look at it as like a throw plate, right? A zero clearance throw plate. It'll protect your material from getting tear out at the bottom. That's the whole purpose behind that. So when you set to do other pieces and other longer, smaller, or thicker pieces, remember to always set the track saw. The minute you forget, you will cut through your table, which is not a problem, but over the time, it will sag in the middle, right? Because there's nothing holding the table. You've just destroyed that integrity at that end, and the table will sag. So then you'll have to replace it. But before we get to that, right? And I'll show you guys here. The track will flip up and flip down when your material is in place, right? We'll go ahead and move the knobs and unsquare it, right? So what you'll do is you'll set your track, grab your dogs, you'll place them in here, and they're dog holes. These are the calibrated dog holes at the face of it, or at the front. You'll push your track. When they contact the dogs, you're at 90. Lock them in. Remove your dogs, and then you'll run your track on that 3/4 inch sheet of ply or whatever material you choose. Make sure your When you power your saw, you're at full speed before you plunge. And then you run all the way down here. My suggestion would be stopping 1 inch to 2 inches from this calibrating hole, right? And the reason I want you to stop there is because once you get to the end of the track, there is no stability. There's no stability on this track, correct? So now your cut's off. You stop here, then you have a more stable track, and your cut is 90. It follows that curve, okay? Now your track saw will bevel if you want. I choose not to do any bevel cuts on my table. I'll just take the track off. And so it'll slide from 0 to 45 or 47, I believe. This allows you to cut so you can do miters with your track. Your track has a service lock and unlock. So you'll set those when you're changing out your blade. Okay? And you'll press here your lock in order to pull your blade out. You do have speeds. So this is a track that allows you to put speeds depending on what material you're cutting. And surprisingly, Kreg did pretty well in giving you the Allen wrenches here that they're stored on the handle to replace and to do maintenance on your track saw. All right, so we'll go ahead and move this out the way. You can add, I did not mention, but you can add, what's it called? Dust collection to it. I do. It does come with the bag. I rather use dust collection just because it collects 90% of the fine material that is cutting in the air. All right, so we'll go ahead and touch on the repetitive stops and the table here shortly. All right, guys, so I want to show you how to set up your table on this portion here too. I went ahead and removed the track so you guys can see, and you'll see both of my aluminum rules on the extrusions and the repetitive stops. I've moved them out the way. You have your kerf. You'll run a tape measure from your kerf to the first rule, matching 8 inches. Then you'll move over to your second one. Mine's off, and we'll touch on that here shortly. And do 0, right? And you'll do the same on the other one. So the 10 and the 0 should match. So that's what you'll do here, the 10 and the 0. Obviously mine's is off, but you'll do the 8 to your left, and then 10 and 0, or your 0 to your 10. And then you're calibrated. You'll run your piece, make a cut to 8, and you'll lock in your repetitive stops. This is a little bit shorter, of course. You're at 8, you'll flip your track, and then you'll run your cut. And you'll measure your piece. You'll lift your track up, and then you'll measure your piece to see if you're at 8. Okay? And then you should be calibrated, and you'll leave everything alone. Okay? Now I'll go ahead and remove my repetitive stops. They do run on a bolt system that runs through the extrusion, and then you just slide them in and find your marking that you need. I'll go ahead and remove this one, and we'll go ahead and do the one for longer boards to 48 inches. You'll set your mark at 48. You'll put your 8-foot or 96 inches 3/4 inch sheet of plywood or whatever sheet you put on here, and then you'll lock it in place. I will go ahead and show you the locking mechanism in the back, which I do not like. and then you'll slide your sheet. Remembering to have some sort of outfeeds on both sides. I do believe that you need outfeeds on both sides in order to keep the material stable when you make your cuts. We'll go ahead and pull this out. This is the extrusion that they use, or the guide, the stop. I don't like it, it's fairly flimsy. If you push too hard on the sheet good and it bumps the top of this, it's gonna bump it back. So now you're no longer at whatever depth you set for a cut. Now the aluminum extrusions have slots here for the rules, the measuring rules, right? The measuring rules are made out of some sort of aluminum. They're fairly well made. They're etched in a sense, but I believe Kreg could have etched the actual extrusions where you wouldn't have to deal with the guides or the rules. You've had to slide them in to set them up. Mine have moved because of the bolt the bolt and the nut at the bottom that they ride on to lock. That knocked mine's out of place. So now I got to recalibrate this side of the track. And as you can see, I will pull this out and then go ahead and slide it back in to recalibrate it later. But that moved on me, so I do not like it. Because if I have to constantly have to do this, I don't agree with it if I'm doing continuous cuts. If it moves on you, then you're gonna have one higher or lower on ends. So I would set it up, maybe put some CA glue at the bottom when you ride this. That way it never moves once you calibrate it completely. All right guys, so I'm gonna allow my beautiful foreman here to show you how to do the extension and the lock. So what do we do first?
Safety first.
Good job. So I'll go ahead and bring you guys in. Go ahead and grab the extension, slide it into the extrusion. Find your mark, the depth that you want to cut your sheet, and we'll lock it in place. And this is what I mentioned. I do not like this locking mechanism there. It's pretty flimsy. If you bump it, it will push the material back or the backer, and it will have an uneven cut. So we'll go ahead and unlock it and remove it. And just as simple, you make repetitive cuts if you can keep it steady. All right, so I have the table saw set, 3/4 inch sheet of plywood, and I am going to show you guys with my beautiful foreman here on how to put your sheet inside the table. Go ahead and grab your 3/4 inch sheet of ply, slide it in, noticing that my 2 repetitive stops are in there already. We'll bring the track down, and then we'll make our first cuts. Setting your track on the extrusion, locking it so it doesn't come back, and we'll ride it forward, making your cut. Remember, full speed cutting. And what do we do first?
Safety first.
Go ahead and run your track all the way through, making your cut. Then stop and bringing it all the way up and taking it all the way back. All right guys, so that in depth is your project table, track saw, and the track here. Now, do I agree with purchasing the system? Yes, if it's a budget friendly type thing that you're looking for, this is a great system. It's actually a lot more stable than the MFT, but it does have its faults also. I believe it's still a great table. If you calibrate it correctly, you should be fine. And if you're not constantly moving it, you're not adding those extra issues. You will have problems with the rules at some point, but that is fine. You can go ahead. It shouldn't be that big of a deal to constantly calibrate this thing. But I appreciate the time, guys, and I want you guys to hit me up and let me know if you have any concerns or did I miss anything. Go ahead and put it at the comments at the bottom. I will go ahead and link this stuff in the description at the bottom for you guys. I am not affiliated with Kreg. I am just doing this because I want to help you guys as far as whether you should buy the system or not. It is fairly priced at $1,000. The MFT is double that, and so it will function very well. The track plunge saw is actually magnificent. I have nothing against it. It has served me very well. But you guys have a great day, and what can we do else?
Like and subscribe.
All right, guys, thank you.